Welcome back to Good Things. We are streaming live over at SuperTalk.fm. We're also streaming from that SuperTalk Mississippi app. Hope you've downloaded that. We're on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And of course, you can watch us. We are on your computer or your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. And if you've listened to Good Things long enough, you know we're all about supporting our small towns and our main streets and those that are giving back in those areas. So joining us today is Matt Alford. He's in real estate. He's an investor, but he's also a city council member for Forest, Mississippi. And I love that your post on Facebook said, good things are happening in Forest, Mississippi. And I said, well, I'm going to have a talk with that man and see what's going on there. So great opening for your Facebook post, Matt.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me today. And, you know, good things are happening in Forest every day. We've got all kind of wonderful things happening over there.
And all of our little small towns, and all it takes is one person or a company or investors or whatever to see a building, see what it could be, to spark a little interest and excitement in a city. And I think that's kind of what happened or it led you here. But first, if you were going to give your best Mississippi directions to Forest, Mississippi for those listening, that's like, you know, I've heard of it, but maybe I'm not really sure where to put it on the map. How do you tell people how to get to Forest, Mississippi?
Sure. The people in Carthage would take issue if I said this, but it's right. It's right in the middle of the state. But it's on I-20, Highway 80, right in between Jackson and Meridian. We are smack dab in the middle of everything.
And which makes it a good place for folks who are looking to have maybe that country living, but still have the access to a bigger city.
Absolutely.
And all the things in between. Okay, so let's talk about at least the investment piece, the part that got you here in terms of what you were doing downtown. Sort of set the stage for us. What is Main Street or downtown of Forest currently kind of like, and what led you to purchase the building that you did?
Sure. Well, I think our downtown is like so many of the downtowns in the smaller towns in Mississippi. It's had its ups and downs. And working with the mayor and working with the city council over the years, we in the city have really tried to implement code and zone enforcement, things of that nature, so our downtown will be at least preserved. And what we're seeing now is me and an investor friend of mine, we purchased a building in the hopes of refurbishing it and turning it into mixed residential and commercial. And it's one of the larger buildings in downtown. And there's talk that some of that's going on with other investors in town, because just like any of these towns, the buildings are old, they get in disrepair, and they become fairly inexpensive to purchase. Now, they're not inexpensive to redo, but
I was going to say, because I've learned historic renovations can be a lot of fun. Wink, wink.
Yeah, we'll watch this tragedy unfold over the next 12 months or so. But yeah, the buildings are fairly inexpensive, and especially if you've got a really good real estate broker you're working with. That's me. That's a plug. So anyway, I think we're seeing this. We saw it in Carthage. My partner in this venture is from Carthage, and he's done a really good job, he and some of his fellow investors, of taking that downtown and turning it into something really nice. And it looks good. It looks historic, and that's what we're trying to do with our recent purchase of a large building in Forest.
Does it have like a historic, history to it? Like, does the building have a name? What was it once?
It has been a variety of things. It's a two-story building. It's got about 7,000 square feet. It's over 100 years old. We're still digging up the story of the building, because that's going to be part of our renovation and part of our marketing. Forest was started years ago. One of the major employers in Forest years ago was the Bienville Lumber Company. And they owned all the land around Forest and sawed all the original timber. And so the name Bienville kept coming back. So when we started this venture, we called our company Bienville Forest Properties. And we're probably going to name this building, which for years has been known as the Sawyer Building, because that was the family that owned it. We're going to call it the Bienville. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And see what happens from there. You know, you mentioned, Matt, that you're not far. I think you said you're like 30 minutes from the airport. Right. Obviously, you could travel into a more metropolitan area to do business or look for real estate opportunities. Why Forest? Why do you keep your roots and all of your investing and all of your, business ideas there in Forest?
That's home. That's where I grew up, and Forest is still that little small town of 6,000 people where you go to the post office every morning and it takes 30 minutes because you run into friends and you run into family and you run into people who are, potential customers and things of that nature. Everything in a little small town like that is so linked together. So wherever you go in your small town, you're part of what you're doing. Whether you're seeing friends and you're seeing family, whether it's at the store or whether it's the post office or the bank or whatever. And I love that sense of community. And there's some accountability that goes with that as well.
There is some accountability that goes when everybody knows your name, or at least, sort of in small town. But there's a lot of good that can come from that too. But as we've seen, as every year, so many small towns across Mississippi and main strips, so many have been revitalized and are coming back to life and really doing good things. There's others that are still trying to figure that out. But I think none should be overlooked. And I think it takes people like yourself and your business partner to take those risks, because this is a risk for you guys. It's not like you are sold that it's going to work out perfectly in the end. So what gives you the confidence to take that risk?
I can't say that I have a ton of confidence. This is the truth is this is probably one of the biggest investments I've ever made. Yeah. I've always been a fairly conservative investor. For 25 years, I've been a real estate broker and an appraiser, and I've sold things to other people or helped other people buy things. And I've done some flipping of properties and things like that. But this is a really big endeavor for me. And at the age of 55, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but it's time. And our attitude is. You start reaching the age where you think maybe I could leave the place a little better than I found it. So there's an element of that.
When you have that, somebody should do this, somebody should do that. Someday it may be you. You may be that somebody.
Right.
And it does take, and usually it only takes one person or two to sort of purchase the building, have a positive experience. You look at things that snowball, like look at Laurel. Granted, they did have the ups of having a TV show like Hometown, but still it took the rest of the community to buy into what they were doing. You look at so many other small towns across the state too that are doing the same thing. It just takes one person to sort of say, hey, this row of buildings could be something. Let's pull together and sort of support it. What I loved, Matt, was when you made the post, not that you just used good things are happening in Forest, right. Was just the slew of people supporting, like so excited to see that building that they may drive by, or maybe they grew up in Forest and have like some kind of connection to back when, seeing it get a second chance. And I think there's so many buildings across Mississippi in our small communities that people would love to see. Not because what's the alternative? What is the alternative if you want to keep it a historic site there in a city? Is it just leave it be? Would it ever gotten torn down? Like if nobody would have ever purchased it, what would have happened to it?
Well, at some point it would become an albatross, and it would become a detriment to the neighbors. I mean, if you've got a piece of property that's taking on water or crumbling, then and obviously in a downtown area where there's zero lot line, which means there's common walls between the buildings, you run the risk of your bad building damaging your neighbor's good building. Mm-hmm. So there's obviously that. I think the other thing is things are contagious, and good things are contagious as well as bad things. So sometimes a little bit of investment and a little bit of excitement about a little bit of the property in downtown Forest, for example, might make somebody else say, I've been wanting to do that. Mm-hmm. And then somebody else say that. And the next thing you know, you've got shops and places to eat and places to spend the night in a small town that you haven't had in years. So that's where we're going with this direction.
Which I made it sound like, Matt, that this was like the first spark of like something great in Forest. And I know that's just sort of like in that downtown sort of area. And yes, it is. But you guys already have wonderful wedding venues, eating opportunities and places like that. So if people haven't visited Forest lately, get them out there. What would you tell them to come do or see or eat, even if it's just a drive-through or a drive, by?
A great way to be introduced to our town happens the last Saturday in September. Our town has its festival just like so many other towns, and in case you haven't been to Forest lately, we are chicken country. And Tyson has a presence there, Cook Foods has a presence there, and all the other places that support our poultry industry in Mississippi. And we have a great chicken wing festival that happens every
Yes, you do. I can attest to it.
It's the Wing Dang Doodle. So I would invite everybody to come in late September to our chicken wing festival. But day in and day out, it's a good place just to come and have lunch at any one of our restaurants in the evenings. You can now get a nice cold beverage in Mississippi or in Forest, Mississippi that's got a little elixir in it. And that's sort of new to our town since our...
Same in Brandon. Yeah. You can actually go to a liquor store in 042, yeah.
We're not quite ready for liquor stores, but we do have liquor by the drink. And what that has enabled us to do, because we got resort status from the legislator, what that's enabled us to do is have several restaurants that are better. We have better restaurants in town now because more people are willing to go into the restaurant business if they can sell you a nice ice cold margarita.
So you mentioned 12 months a while ago, Matt, when you talked about the Bienville. That's what we're going to call it, the Bienville?
We're going to call it the Bienville for now, yeah.
For now. And so are we really thinking about 12 months, or you think it may take a little bit longer for you to come back for the grand opening?
Well, we're going to have a ribbon cutting. We'll let you know all about it. We're still in the very early stages of remodeling the building.
Well, I appreciate your time, Matt. I love the excitement around it, and we'll keep up with this story for sure.
Thank you for having me today.
All righty, you guys stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.